But the ruh inside the human being didn't come from this earth. It's an alien creature. It came from the angels who delivered it from Allah. Its food cannot come from here. When you try to feed it food from here, it throws up. And if you feed something that is inappropriate food, like if you feed an animal like a lion vegetables, it'll die. If you keep trying to feed your soul, your ruh, food from this earth, I feel an emptiness inside me, man. That's why I'm into heavy metal music. Dang, 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 dang. I'm just drowning yourself in it. Somebody else is feeding their ruh with sad songs. Somebody else is feeding it with painting. Somebody else, these people in America and Europe, they go like, I want to climb Mount Everest, and then I want to jump off of it. And then I want to do extreme sports. It's the only time I feel alive, man. It's like spiritual, man. It's like amazing, And some people, the only time they feel alive was when they're close to death, like the crocodile hunter or something. These people feel the need to feed that soul that's always unsatisfied. But every time they try to feed it with something from this earth, it dies a little more, and it dies a little more, and it dies a little more. Human beings, their heart and the light they have inside of them did not come from them. Allah sent an angel from the skies to put the ruh inside the human being, yes? And that ruh used to be in the constant company of Allah, yes or no? And Allah is the light of the skies and the earth. So this ruh was prepared by the constant exposure to Allah Azza wa Jal in Surah Al-A'raf, when He spoke to that ruh directly and said, Alastu bi Rabbikum qalu bala shahidna. Am I not your Rabb? And this purified, like the purest of oil ruh, turned to Allah and said, of course we bear witness, you are our master. And that same ruh that was so close to Allah, it comes from the most pure source that is neither inclined towards the east or the west. It is constantly exposed to light. That ruh was taken, and that most beautiful, pure thing that produces more goodness, and then more goodness, and then more goodness, which is in the word mubarakah. It's in the word mubarakah, because it produces more and more. This soul, this ruh of the human being that can produce more goodness than anyone can ever imagine, was taken, and then it was used to fuel this lamp inside this niche. And it was brought in here. And it was surrounded by the clearest of glass, like the glass of a baby that's so clear. There's no dirt on it yet. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about this fuel. And now we know where this fuel came from. It came from this other place, of a special tree. By the way, when the fuel is extracted from the tree, it's extracted from the tree. You'll remember a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he would tell us that the children of Adam, actually even in the ayah, min luhuri Adam, the ruh of all the other children were extracted from the back of Adam alayhi salam, from his soul, from his back, min luhurihim, And so we've been extracted from that pure creature of the human creature that was made. And now all of us, our arwah, our ruh is made of light. I am a creature of light. You're a creature of light. And the analogy of us is the purest kind of oil. But what good is oil if it doesn't light on fire? If you have this beautiful lamp, you have this perfect niche. It was designed for a lamp. And if you never turn the lamp on, what's the point? Allah is almost saying, I created this beautiful human being. I put this heart inside him. I put the ruh inside that heart. What's the point of it if I don't light it up? Yakadu zaytuha yudhi'u. Its oil is about to catch fire on its own. There are, in gas stations and stuff, they say don't light a match. Why not? So if you light a match, the oil is over here, but it'll actually jump and catch the fire. The purer the oil is, you don't have to take the fire to it. It comes to the fire. It jumps over. This ruh inside the human being was in the company of Allah. It was in the company of Allah. It was constantly exposed to Allah's light. And then, by the way, on the Day of Judgment, we'll be exposed to Allah's light again. That's why Allah says, وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ. Faces on that day will be lit up. Lit up by what? The light of Allah Azza wa Jal. So now, by the way, the tajalli of Allah, showing a little bit of His light to the mountain and it exploded, right, in the story of Musa alayhi salam. But now watch. This same heart, that couldn't, those eyes, our physical body can't handle the exposure to Allah, but our ruh did. It's that powerful. It's that spiritually powerful. That same ruh wants to catch fire. It wants to hold on to what it used to have. What did it used to have? The company of? Okay. If it had the company of Allah, which it did before it was brought here, Allah is perfect in every way, isn't He? There's nothing more beautiful than Allah. There's no greater truth than Allah. There's no greater justice than Allah. And this human being comes on this earth and he's born in a Jewish family, a Christian family, an atheist family, an agnostic family, a pagan family. But he has the ruh inside him. That ruh that knows Allah. That he wasn't taught about Allah by his parents. He wasn't taught by his society. He was taught by Allah Himself. And that light inside him sees the shirk around and it just doesn't like it. But that same light, when it sees something beautiful, it's attracted to something beautiful. Because even if it's a little bit beautiful, it's closer to the perfect, all beauty itself, which is Allah. You know? But it goes towards, it likes pure food. It doesn't like, human beings don't like impure food. They like pure food. They want a pure, clean glass of water. They want clean clothes. Why? Because they were in the company of Al-Quddus, the purest one. You know? They want the best of everything. Even architecture, they enjoy beauty and perfection and symmetry and order. You know? You see little kids designing like perfect patterns. This is what I made. I put a star over here, a star over here. This moon over here, this moon over here. I made this mountain here, this mountain here. Where did the human being get the desire to put things in order? He was in the company of the one who created order for all things. So our pursuits of beauty, our pursuits of perfection, you know, our pursuits of justice are actually inspired by this ruh that inside was in the company of the perfect one, that's the perfect justice, the perfect beauty. You know, our pursuit of love, we were in the company of the most loving. It's constantly trying to catch something, but everything it catches is missing something. It tries to catch a little bit of light over here, a little bit of light. It gets something from it, but it's not lighting up like it should. It's looking for something to hold on to that can fulfill that original taste that it had. Because once you've tasted the company of Allah, nothing else is going to sit with you. I mean, I'll give you a bad example. Once you've had food at your favorite restaurant, and you taste something else, like, not like my mom makes it. You've tasted the company of Allah. When then the only thing you're going to enjoy is something that connects you back to Him, brings you back in His light, isn't it? So now you'll understand that its oil is about to light up even if it hasn't touched fire yet. It's so desperate to catch it. It's so desperate to come and get the light. Then you see Allah say, Nurun ala nur. Light on top of light. What that means is Allah decides to send this thirsty oil some of His own light to light it up. And what lights it up is the ayat of the Quran. Revelation itself is called light. And when that light beams from the sky through the ears of the believer deep into his heart, there was a light already inside of him. And that light met this light and boom, he lit up. This oil lit up inside of him. And he just knew, and she just knew, this is what I was waiting for. I feel something now that I've never felt before. I can't, there's nothing else that will ever fulfill this thirst other than the word of Allah. This is the connection I have directly with Allah. The same connection I just know I had it before. I can't remember it in my physical brain because it wasn't a physical memory. It's a spiritual memory. But I know something deep inside me tells me this is what I want and I will never leave this. This is it. And when those two lights meet each other, Allah says, Nurun ala nur. Light on top of light. The revelation of Allah has met the ruh that was inside that Allah put, that was thirsty for the revelation of Allah. Now at this point, you need to understand a couple of very important things. The first of them is appetite. We're made up of two parts too. Human beings. Like the analogies Allah gives, physical reality, spiritual reality. Human beings are made up of two things, physical and spiritual. Physically speaking, we need food and drink. Spiritually speaking, we need food and drink. Physically speaking, we need light. Spiritually speaking, we also need light. Because the body is made of dirt, its needs are provided from this place that is made of dirt. Its source of sustenance is also dirt. The fruit, the animal that it eats, comes from this earth. The water that it drinks comes from this earth, comes from this patch of dirt. But the ruh inside the human being didn't come from this earth. It's an alien creature. It came from the angels who delivered it from Allah. Its food cannot come from here. When you try to feed it food from here, it throws up. And if you feed something that is inappropriate food, like if you feed an animal like a lion vegetables, it'll die. If you keep trying to feed your soul, your ruh, food from this earth, I feel an emptiness inside me, man. That's why I'm into heavy metal music. Dang, 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 dang. I'm just drowning yourself in it. Somebody else is feeding their ruh with sad songs. Somebody else is feeding it with painting. Somebody else, these people in America and Europe, they go like, I want to climb Mount Everest and then I want to jump off of it. And then I want to do extreme sports. It's the only time I feel alive, man. It's like spiritual, man. It's like amazing, And some people, the only time they feel alive was when they're close to death, like the crocodile hunter or something. These people feel the need to feed that soul that's always unsatisfied. But every time they try to feed it with something from this earth, it dies a little more, and it dies a little more, and it dies a little more. It's surrounded by a glass, right? Which means it's protected. But when you feed it something wrong, the glass starts getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier and dirtier and dirtier.